Today, Ningaloo Reef is an important resting place for over 40,000 humpback whales, of which we are lucky enough to experience above and below the surface. Unfortunately, our relationship with these incredible mammals hasn't always been so peaceful. For years they were hunted in the pristine waters here in a place called Norwegian Bay. The whaling station today still stands as a ghost town, a scar on the coastline, and a stark reminder of the destruction we as humans can inflict in a very short amount of time. Not only this, but it stands as a beacon of success for the whale's recovery and our ability to step aside and let nature do its work. In this episode, we'd like to tell you that story.
Thousands of whales were killed here.
This was the most modern and most successful whaling station in the history of whaling. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode. A bit of an exciting one today. We're going on a mission. If you look here, this is a bit of information at the Nylonia Visitor Centre about the Norwegian Bay whaling station. Now, as you all probably know, we get heaps of humpback whales coming up the west coast now. There's about 40,000 they reckon, and that population was decimated up until they banned whaling in November 1978. But Ningaloo had its own whaling station. This is where we're headed today, Norwegian Bay whaling station.
Let's go.
We are approaching the whaling station, so a lot of history we're going to go through with you guys here today, and yeah, hopefully we don't get bogged, but come along, join us on a historical tour of the Ningaloo coast and the Norwegian Bay whaling station. We do have some dunes that we have to cross. There was an old track into the whaling station when they first built the whaling station. Sand dunes move. We get these strong southwesterly winds every summer, and the sand dunes move, and over the years they've covered up those tracks. So now the only two ways to get into the bay here, or into Norwegian Bay, are, well, a few ways. There's by boat, obviously, and then also coming in over the dunes, which is the way we're going to try and go now. If Caitlin can spot the track. I'm going to chuck the drone up in a second. I'll show you Caitlin getting bogged in the dunes. Here we go. Go.
I don't want to fall in a ditch.
Proof
I'm good,
and
I'm
filming
good,
that.
I'm good.
Yeah, you are. You just need some confidence in yourself.
There's whale bones scattered all over the place here. Look at them all. We've made it to Norwegian Bay, to the whaling station. So heavy driving in here, but we are standing on the beach here. What are we standing on?
So what we're standing on here is some of the gearing that would have been for the flensing deck. Now the flensing deck was where they started processing the whales. So the whales would be brought into Norwegian Bay here. There's a gap over there. They use shallow draft vessels. They had bigger vessels that would drag the whales in. They had 4 smaller whaling ships, and they would bring the whales into moorings in deeper water, and then when the whales were ready to be processed, they would bring them into here, drag them up. Above this gearing here there was a big deck called the flensing deck, and we've got some old footage or some old photos we can show you of that. And over there was also a loading jetty, and that was for taking supplies in and out. Later on there's a couple of barges over there that are sunken barges, and I think they were the barges they used for carrying the barrels of oil out.
Whaling began in Australia in the late 18th century, and it was done in a number of different ways, but the whales were hunted for oil produced from their blubber. So this whale oil was used as fuel, lubricants, it was used in cosmetics and margarine as well. Australia and New Zealand killed over 40,000 humpback whales before it ceased in 1963, and humpback whales were protected worldwide in 1965. But whaling didn't end there. Sperm whales continued to be hunted until all commercial whaling ceased in Australia in 1978.
So this whaling station was established in 1912 after a license was granted to some Norwegians up and down the coast, and they established a few shore-based whaling stations. So this one was started to be built in 1915. Up until they had built the whaling station in 1915, they did offshore whaling. So what they did there is they had a mothership or a processing ship, a whaling factory ship, and they had 4 smaller vessels that would catch the whales and then they would process them all. In the first year of factory ship operations, they killed about 900 whales. Second year of factory operations, they killed about 2,000 whales. Now you can imagine the population of whales off the coast here was about 30,000. So very, very quickly that would have decimated the population. And this is only one whaling station of several up and down the coast.
After a couple of years of offshore whaling operations, this whaling station was put into action in 1915, and over that season they caught 1,500 humpback whales. In the years following this, the whaling station changed hands a bunch of times. They experienced poor catches. In 1925, there was actually concerns put forward within the industry about the health of the humpback whale population, but the station continued changing hands. It went from a few companies. It began with Norwegians and was passed on to Australians, eventually the Norwegian Bay Whaling Corporation, and then in the end the Northwest Whaling Company. After changing hands a bunch of times and a cyclone coming through and destroying a lot of the whaling station, it was resurrected, and because of new technology actually became one of Australia's most successful whaling stations. But the whale population continued to decline, and after many struggles the station was closed in 1957, and after that whaling on the west coast was concentrated in Carnarvon. Whaling ceased in 1978.
These are the old boilers up the top here. The old storage tanks over here. And then just over here, I think is where they used to manufacture some of the equipment they use for whaling. So the harpoon heads. And if you go over here, there's some ferrous material used from the melting down of steel. Ferrous material, which is indicative of melting down metal. But these here are the old bolt boilers. So just looking around here, there is so much broken glass. Now they weren't supposed to be drinking here, but the accommodation was up this end, further down this way. So much broken glass here. There's actually just piles of bottles all over the place. And something to be really aware of, come in here at your own risk. There's a high asbestos risk area here. Obviously they use asbestos for the construction of buildings, so yeah, big risk there. So this area down here is where the manager's house was. You can see this is possibly the manager's kitchen. That's his stove. Yeah, so these are the old stumps that would contain the tank. These 3 tanks obviously had the whale oil for storage before they took it out in barrels, just like those ones we just saw over there.
Oh, it stinks.
So even, what are we now? 70 years. 70? nearly 70 years, there's still, this smells like bitumen.
It stinks.
There's another barrel there. It's just been oozing out and leaching into the ground.
Oh, it stinks.
Yeah, it's bitumen. It's like the stuff my granddad used to paint on his fences. Creosote. That's what it smells like.
I'm gonna hop in the water and see what remnants of this place we can find under the surface. Also to escape these flies. They are so bad. But it feels eerie getting in the water here. It's like such an uncomfortable place to be.
Alright, get rid of the flies.
Standing in this massive oil drum right now. It's so unbelievable to think that so many thousands of whales were killed here. Like, just in the first year that they were whaling here, they caught almost 1,000 whales. And in a population of 30,000, there's no way that anyone could have ever thought that would be a sustainable thing to be doing. It's just so wild. And these aren't just any creature. These are a mammal. They're like us. They're intelligent creatures. They have complex social bonds. And to think that they are coming up here to a place that they think is safe to bring new life into the world, and we were taking theirs. Thousands and thousands of them. It's so wild to me. We're so lucky now that the whales have recovered so successfully, and we have so many now, and this is a place where people can come face to face and make eye contact with these amazing creatures, and that feeling is like nothing else in the world. And it's just so wild to think of what happened here compared to the relationship that we have with them here now. It's pretty special.
This is the end. We've arrived at South Lefroy here. Round the corner there is North Lefroy and then Point Edgar. This is actually one of my favourite camping spots.
So pretty.
Don't tell everyone. The water here is incredible. Yeah, just love it here. I don't get down here enough. But the filming at the station wasn't quite what we planned, and the reason for that was the flies.
They were relentless. Like, just unmanageable.
So we will try and stitch something together there that gives you guys a bit of an understanding about the whale history here. Now the exciting thing is, or the sad thing to remember is that a lot of whales were slaughtered in this area. And that is a constant reminder of that event. But the exciting thing is last year, the beginning of last year, humpback whales were taken off the endangered species list. And we now have in Western Australia here the largest population of humpback whales anywhere in the world. There's approximately 40,000 whales that migrate up the coast here. When you think whaling, and when you think whaling wasn't stopped until November 1978, the recovery in the last, how many years is that? 45 years is incredible.
It's one of the most amazing success stories in the whole of nature, really.
Yeah. And it really shows that all we have to do is get out of the way. Get out of the way of nature, and nature can bounce back. From a population of, they estimate when they finished whaling, around 1,000 individuals, to today, 45 years later, we've got over 40,000 humpback whales. It's an incredible story. What an amazing recovery, and what an amazing experience it is to go out and hang out with these whales, and you can swim with them here now with a charter, or just go and watch them from a boat. It's the most amazing thing. Anyway.
That's it, hey?
Yeah, that's it. Thanks for joining us, guys. Hope you enjoyed that episode. A little bit different. We just showing you guys a bit of history of the area.
Giving you a bit of a story.
But thanks for joining us on Ningaloo Crew. We'll see you next week.
We're not past Ningaloo Station right now, are we?
We're in Ningaloo Station. Is that an option? There's actually a turtle just down there in the water. The flies are real friendly today.
Yuck.
Mate, these flies.
The flies. Send out a million flies. Fly dance, fly dance, fly dance, fly dance. Ah!
See what you want? Have fun?
No.
Dumps that would contain the tank. These 3 tanks obviously had the whale oil for storage.